Good morning. I'm Reverend Denise Cawley. I'm the interim minister here at Countryside Unitarian Universalist Church in Palatine, Illinois. My pronouns are she and hers. We have an exciting, different program for you today. You might be watching this while you prepare a holiday meal or as you unwrap gifts. Whatever it may be, we have many holiday Christmas stories to share with you today, and many different guests are reading you those stories this morning. If you're new to us and just checking us out online, welcome. If you're a seasoned visitor and member of our church, welcome. Whatever it may be, you can always get more information at CCUU.org, our website. I invite you to share this video. I hope you subscribe on social media to the YouTube channel. That really helps us out. And share it widely with your friends. We've picked a whole variety of different Christmas stories, and we invite you to settle back, relax, and let your mind and body be treated by this variety of story. Because after all, whether it's Christmas or not, we are nothing more than stories. We are made up of many, many stories. Merry Christmas.
The Turning Point by Reverend Joe Cherry. Yule is the ancient name for winter solstice, the longest night and the shortest day of the year. In northern climates, this is the darkest and coldest time of the year. The sun seems weak, even dying, and we fear winter will last forever. But just as soon as the solstice passes, the days begin to grow longer again. The solstice is a turning point in the wheel of the year when the sun is symbolically dies and is reborn in the womb of the goddess. In our tradition, darkness is not something bad or something to fear. Of course, we wouldn't want the earth to be dark all the time. That's why we're so happy when the sun begins to return after the long nights of winter. Light and dark must always be in balance. During this season, people of many different religions try to strengthen the light. Pagans and Christians bring an evergreen tree inside and decorate it with twinkling lights and shining ornaments to remind us that life goes on even in the depths of winter. Jewish people light candles for 8 nights, adding one more each night to the Hanukkah menorah. And African American people celebrate Kwanzaa, lighting candles for 7 nights to symbolize the qualities of unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. The sun rises and we are reborn with the year. Within each one of us, whatever our age, the miracle child we were at birth emerges anew. The secret we learn from the solstice is that just when things look the darkest, the light is sure to be reborn.
A Christmas Tale by Whoopi Goldberg. When I was a little girl, my mother worked magic. I'm sure of this now, but at the time I could never figure it out. I was about 5 or 6 years old, living in a small apartment in the Chelsea area of New York City. It was just my mother, my older brother, and me. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had each other. I remember every year, about a week before Christmas, the magic would begin. A tree would suddenly appear in our living room. Just a naked tree, no decorations, no explanations. No one would ever mention where the tree came from or how it got into our living room. And yet, my brother and I knew it couldn't have come from Mom. After all, we were always together, and we never saw her go out and buy a tree.
Where did it come from? I would say to my big brother Clyde, as we stood side by side in our living room, staring at it. It's almost like it just fell from the sky. But the magic didn't stop there. The morning after the tree arrived, the first thing we do is run into the living room. and there would be lights on the branches, and tinsel, and sprayed snow, and Christmas balls, and lights that bubbled. By now, we were watching our mother like a hawk, but we never saw her touch that tree. It had to be magic. Every day leading up to Christmas was just like that. We'd wake up and the tree would be decorated some more. Meanwhile, the living room windows were getting in on the act. They would gradually become decorated with pink, stenciled snowflakes that looked like they'd been made with that cleaning spray stuff from the kitchen.
Around that time, my brother and I would start thinking about our presents. We knew they were coming, of course, so before the big day, we would look everywhere for them. Our apartment wasn't what you would call big, so it didn't take us long to search everywhere. In the closets, in the bathroom, under the bed. Nothing. Finally, Christmas Day would arrive, and my brother and I would get up while it was still dark outside. Some years, it would be snowing outside. We'd run into the living room and stop dead in our tracks. The sight was amazing. There was a bicycle, a flexible flyer sled, a Lionel train set, a Kate Greenaway dress for me, and Robert Hall suit for my brother. How did she do it? Where had all the stuff been hiding? At the neighbors? Under the floorboards? Or maybe Mom had secretly been corresponding with the North Pole all along. You know, talking with Santa Claus?
After we opened our Christmas presents, we gave our mother hers. We usually made things for her. She always seemed to love our homemade presents as much as we loved the ones we'd gotten. Anyway, we never really had any time to think about it. We had to get outside. Usually, there were about 45 tons of snow on the streets, so we'd get all dressed up in our snow clothes and head outdoors. My brother would take me onto 10th Avenue, which by this time would be closed on account of all the snow. He'd put me on the front of the flexible flyer, then he'd sort of run and pull me along. We'd have the best time. At first, you could see nothing but clean, white snow all around you. Then soon, the streets would start to fill up. Not with cabs and buses like usual, but with kids and their parents. So much for the clean white snow.
Still, as much fun as we had had sledding, and wonderful as the presents were, the best present for me is all the memories of it. I can still see every moment in my head. That was my mom's real magic. By the way, when my brother and I got older, we finally asked our mother where the tree and all those presents had come from. In fact, we still ask her. You know what she says to us?
I don't know what you're talking about.
After all these years, Mom still won't give it up. The end.
A Season of Peace, Real Inner Peace by Esther Harper. Every day is the same now, one more monotonous than the last. Get up, go to school, come home, work, sleep. You'd hope as the holidays come round that things would liven up and be all sparkly, but rather the opposite seems the case. Work gains importance as the holidays draw near, and all else loses meaning. I curled up under my quilt last evening and thought of how much more real Christmas used to seem. Does all of the charm and excitement just go away as one gets older and get replaced by fear, anxiety, and outside pressures? I used to think that being 18 would be the nicest age imaginable, but that is just as much of a childhood fantasy as Santa Claus. As I pondered this thought, it hit me. We always look to the future for answers, like the child who hopes their wish will come true under the tree. What about all those gorgeous memories? Isn't that alone to make us yearn for the future? All of those wonderful noises and smells of clattering dishes, out-of-tune carols, and salty roast potatoes and rich gravy, the compulsory family time. With the toll our hectic lives take on communication, this should have been sheer bliss. Presents used to seem so exciting, tearing off the paper in shreds to reveal the gift below. But now the joy truly seems in the giving. When I awoke this morning, I decided that to fully appreciate Christmas this year, I have to block out all the negative and truly embrace the spirit of waiting for wonderful things the future has to offer, of what the past has taught, and of the beautiful gifts God has given me. This way, joy radiates around, and you feel like you can conquer anything before the holidays arrive with all their beauty. It can really be a season of peace, of inner peace.
Hi, I'm Scott Giles, and my reading is Soul Among Lions, Musings of a Bootleg Preacher by Will D. Campbell. It was December 1943, and we were on a crowded troop ship bound for the South Pacific. Most of us were in our teens, seasick, homesick, and a little afraid. I had asked my best pal, Herman Hyman, what he was going to send his girlfriend for Christmas. Nothing, he answered. Seemed strange. He mumbled something about Hanukkah and changed the subject. I had no idea what he meant. I was a naive little Baptist boy from rural Mississippi. Herman was from the Bronx. What had promised to be a bleak Christmas turned even more dreary when the KP list was read over the ship's intercom. I was to be on kitchen duty on Christmas Day. The sergeant told us we would be crossing the international date line, so there would be 2 December 25ths. I'll do it for you, Herman said. Why? Because I want to, he laughed, patting me on the head like a mascot. Herman was older than I. At the end of this second Christmas in a row, Herman found me alone on the stern of the ship, looking back at where we'd been. He looked very tired. He handed me a can of ripe olives he had lifted from the officers' mess. "Merry Christmas," he said with a feigned and fatigued ho ho ho. "Why'd you do that?" I asked. Over and over, he sighed in a sort of "you really don't know, do you" fashion. Then he answered, "Because I'm a Jew, little buddy, and Jews don't celebrate Christmas." He told me all about Hanukkah, about another war that was fought 200 years before my Jesus was even born, about how the Maccabees whipped the Syrians, and the big celebration and rededication of the temple in Jerusalem. He said we would have a big celebration one day. He told me about how his father would light a candle every night for 8 nights, about the good food his mother prepared, and he named all the kinfolk who gathered. There weren't any Jews in my little rural community. No Catholics, Methodists, or Presbyterians either, just Baptists. But there was a Jew there when I got back. Hermann Heimann died for his country in the last days of the Battle of Saipan. When the war was over and I went home to Mississippi, Hermann went with me. Happy Hanukkah, Hermann. You would be 76 now. I'll light the 8th candle and we'll be together again. And tell Father Abraham it's my time for KP. Thank you.
In the Storm by Mary Oliver. Some black ducks were shrugged up on the shore. It was snowing hard from the east and the sea was in disorder. Then some sanderlings, 5 inches long, with beaks like wire, flew in, snowflakes on their backs, and settled in a row behind the ducks, whose backs were also covered with snow. So close, they were all but touching. They were all but under the roof of the ducks' tails, so the wind pretty much blew over them. They stayed that way, motionless, for maybe an hour. Then the sanderlings, each a handful of feathers, shifted and were blown away out over the water, which was still raging. But somehow they came back, and again the ducks, like a feathered hedge, let them crouch there and live. If someone you didn't know told you this, as I am telling you this, would you believe it? Belief isn't always easy, but this much I have learned, if not enough else, to live with my eyes open. I know what everyone wants is a miracle. This wasn't a miracle. Unless, of course, kindness, as now and again some rare person has suggested, is a miracle. As it surely is.
Meditation on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Edward Harris.
What can we say about Rudolph? He was excluded by the other reindeer. They did not let him play with them. We may feel confident that they made fun of him and his red nose.
It is possible that they hurt poor Rudolph. He was on the outside. The other reindeer had a special relationship with Santa Claus. They were the elite. Dancer, Dasher, Prancer, Comet, Blitzen. Fine names, sturdy names, bespeaking solidarity, stability, education and training, ability, access to the very best. These reindeer were strong and fast.
Rudolph was smaller, and his only distinctive feature was a shiny red nose. It seemed to have a glow about it. It made young Rudolph a figure of fun. See Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, haha. I'd rather be dead than red in the nose, they'd say. Still, he may have been content to be red-nosed by himself. He probably muttered more than once, I don't care, let them have all the fun. I can have fun by myself.
Did Rudolph wish to be included? We don't know. Probably he did, for it is the deepest wish of all creatures to belong and be accepted. So what happened?
Well, on a foggy Christmas Eve, Santa realized that Rudolph could make the difference in guiding the sleigh. Rudolph could lead them through. Rudolph's special trait was his ugly, shiny, red nose. It was this nose, this trait that was needed.
So Santa goes to little Rudolph and asks him to guide the sleigh, actually to lead it. He would be in front of the other reindeer because their mission of getting Christmas to the boys and girls of the world was so important, it became necessary to rethink past practices.
When Rudolph was asked, what did he say? We don't know, it's not recorded, but we know that he did not say, I can't, I'm too little. He He didn't say, me, all the others make fun of me. He didn't say, now you ask me, I've got something else to do. It isn't fair. He didn't say spitefully, get somebody else, let Dancer do it. He didn't say, I hope you crash, you and all the others.
So, we have a classic story of the insiders excluding the newcomer and making fun of his special traits. It happens all the time in schools, playgrounds, classes, society. We say they just don't have it, and if they do, well, we got here first and don't have to let them in our group, our company, our church, our club, our political party, or our games.
He just did it. He led the sleigh through. He did the job. It was a hard job, but he did it. Then all the reindeer loved him.
What does this little story, the bit of doggerel, mean? What is its moral? Some possible meanings anybody can serve. We need everyone to be a part of the team, even the ugliest, for what we label ugly. And smallest has a special contribution to make. The mission is more important than the personalities. There are perhaps others. Can you think of some? Remember them when you hear the song.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history.
So the Children Come by Reverend Sophia Lyons Fuzz. For the children come, and so they have been coming, always in the same way they come, born of the seed of man and woman. No angels herald their beginnings, no prophets predict their future courses. No wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind. Yet, each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers and mothers sitting beside their children's cribs feel glory in the sight of a new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end? Or will it ever end? Each night a child is born is a holy night. A time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping.
The Gift by Kevin Hughes. Hey friend, do you have any spare change? No, no, no. You'll just spend it on drugs or alcohol, she said with disgust dripping from her voice. So what? Why should that matter? If you freely gave me your spare change, it should be the gift of giving that makes you feel better, not what I decide to do with it. The gift doesn't belong to the giver. She thought about that as she walked away. Moments later, she met her friends at the pizza place, aptly named A Slice of Life. She thought that was ironic. Here it is, the week before Christmas, her and her friends have taken a slice of their day to meet for good cheer, pizza, and a beer. Her friends all had jobs, a place to stay, and money enough to go out to eat. It bothered her that she didn't give that homeless guy a few cents. She thought about what he said. The gift does not belong to the giver. She saw through the window that the homeless guy was still out there, still asking people for spare change. Nobody was stopping, they were all in a hurry. Plus the guy was clean and neat and didn't look like a homeless person to her. Maybe that's why she brushed him off. He didn't look like he was bad enough off to be homeless. How the heck would I know what a homeless person looked like, she thought. Heck, I make 6 figures and I know a few people in my office who could use some lessons in personal hygiene. With that, she excused herself from the table. She asked the waiter for a slice to go and a Coke in a cup. She then took them both over to the homeless man. Here, I thought about what you said. The gift does not belong to the giver. I can't give you cash, but I did bring you some pizza and a Coke. The man smiled, he gave her a big hug, and wished her a very Merry Christmas. Then he said, "Could you watch my stuff for just a second?" Her mind went through a frenzy of horrible scenarios, all fueled by the recent rash of tragedies proudly trumpeted on the evening news. She was flustered and wondered how long it would take and what might be in his stuff. Okay, but I have to be back to work in just a few minutes. He smiled at her. No worries, I'll be back in a minute. With that, he was off, carrying both the pizza and the Coke in his arms. He walked quickly to a lady sitting with her back to him. She watched in fascination as the man gave the lady his pizza and his Coke. She hugged him for a full minute. He smiled, hugged her for a bit, rubbed her back, and then he ran back to his stuff. The young woman was amazed. What the heck was that all about? Well, that's Mary. She's too proud to beg. She uses her Social Security money to send her daughter in Texas. Her daughter thinks she lives in a nice retirement home, but she doesn't. She knows if she gets a place to stay, just having electricity, gas, and cable and internet would eat up most of her Social Security check. She says her daughter's having a rough time as a single mother. Her daughter's husband was killed in Iraq. She doesn't want to be a burden to her daughter, but a help. So she lives out on the streets so she can send her daughter every penny of her Social Security. The young woman was speechless. She started to shake all over. Are you okay? Placing a hand gently, the homeless man asked. Are you related to her or something? Oh no, and he laughed. I own a men's clothing shop on the other side of town. The young woman was incredulous. Then why are you begging for small change? Well, it's pretty simple. Mary won't beg. She's too proud. She won't accept a place to stay either. I know, I've tried to get her to stay in a few different places. In my life, I've learned to spot when someone will accept help and when help will only make them feel less. Mary's okay with what she's doing. She feels good about helping her daughter. She never asks her daughter what she does with the money. She never tells her daughter her real situation. That's the way she likes it. So I honor her request. But why do you beg? Why not just give her some money? He smiled again. Well, partially because Mary likes to know that the money comes from many people who just gave for no other reason than they gave. Partially because it keeps me humble. People form all kinds of judgments about why I'm out here, what must have made me sing so long that I beg. They never bother to find out who I am, what I have done, or why I'm doing this. I'm guilty of the same thing. Because I did this for Mary one time, I learned to do it for me all the time. I come down here 5 days a week and beg. You should try it sometime. The young woman started to cry. What he had described is exactly what she had told her girlfriends at the pizza party. She had made up many scenarios in her mind to explain his begging, none of them the truth, but all of them she was so sure of until she asked him why he was out here begging. She couldn't help herself. She cried and stumbled across words as she tried to explain her feelings. The homeless man held her until tears, confession, and the shaking stopped. I wonder if Mary would like to meet my mom, she asked. Why? Well, my dad passed away 2 years ago. My mom lives in that big house alone. Mary looks to be the same age. Both of them have daughters. I wonder if, maybe, well... The homeless man smiled and said, let's go talk to Mary. You can offer your gift. That's all you can do. Remember, it isn't the giver the gift is for. He threw his stuff over his shoulder. She moved her bag to her other arm. Then, his arm and hers linked together, they walked to where Mary was eating her pizza. The end. Happy holidays, everyone.
Amazing Peace, a Christmas poem by Dr. Maya Angelou.
Thunder rumbles in the mountain passes, and lightning rattles the eaves of our houses. Floodwaters await us in our avenues. Snow falls upon snow, to avalanche over unprotected villages. The sky slips low and gray and threatening. We question ourselves. What have we done to so affront nature? We worry, God, are you there? Are you there really? Does the covenant you made with us still hold? Into this climate of fear and apprehension, Christmas enters. streaming lights of joy, ringing bells of hope, and singing carols of forgiveness high up in the bright air. The world is encouraged to come away from rancor, come the way of friendship. It is the glad season. Thunder ebbs to silence, and lightning sleeps quietly in the corner. Floodwaters recede into memory. Snow becomes a yielding cushion to aid us as we make our way to higher ground. Hope is born again in the faces of children. It rides on the shoulders of our aged as they walk into their sunsets. Hope spreads around the earth, brightening all things, even hate which crouches breeding in dark corridors.
In our joy, we think we hear a whisper. At first it is too soft, then only half heard. We listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear a sweetness. The word is peace. It is loud now. It is louder. Louder than the explosion of bombs. We tremble at the sound. We are thrilled by its presence. It is what we have hungered for. Not just the absence of war, but true peace. A harmony of spirit. A comfort of courtesies. Security for our beloveds and their beloveds.
We clap hands and welcome the peace of Christmas. We beckon this good season to wait a while with us. We, Baptist and Buddhist, Methodist and Muslim, say, "Come, peace. Come and fill us and our world with your majesty." We, the Jew and the Zionist, the Catholic and the Confucian, implore you to stay a while with us, so we may learn by your shimmering light how to look beyond complexion and see community. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. On this platform of peace, we can create a language to translate ourselves and to each other. At this holy instant, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ into the great religions of the world. We jubilate the precious advent of trust. We shout with glorious tongues at the coming of hope. All the earth's tribes loosen their voices to celebrate the promise of peace. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other, then into ourselves, and we say without shyness or apology or hesitation,
"Peace, my sibling."
Peace, my cousin.
Peace, my soul.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Lee, Treasurer of Countryside Church.
And I'm Tom Dempsey, your board president. And we want to remind you that while there are no more days left before Christmas, there are still 6 more days left in our Giving Tuesday campaign.
This year, we've expanded the concept of Giving Tuesday to include the important work Countryside Church does in worship, study, and service. While there are many other worthy causes asking for your support on Giving Tuesday, it is through Countryside that many of us find the knowledge and inspiration to support these causes. As an institution, CCUU also supports each of us in our spiritual journey, as well as being steadfast while we experience the sorrows and joys that life brings us.
It's really true that in supporting Countryside, we're not just supporting ourselves, but also all of those other worthy causes. In the past, we've had the support of some high-giving donors who've now passed that torch on to us. And this year, we've had additional expenses with the inflation of utility costs, as well as bringing our staff benefits up to par. We also have anticipated expenses with our search for a new settled minister.
We've set an ambitious goal, but when we consider everything that the church does for us, it's worth it. We know that we can support our work and our growth with grace and love.
So, if you haven't done so already, please make a generous contribution to Giving December. You can mail a check or simply follow the prompts on the screen to give electronically.
All of us on the board are grateful for the hope, respect, and justice that CCUU provides. We've had a great year and look forward to an even better one next year. Thanks, and happy holidays to all.
Mayhem and the Manger by Carl Scoville. Her Christmas card came late one year, but I wasn't surprised. I knew that her first year as a parish minister had kept her busy. I enjoyed the PS. Why didn't you warn me about Christmas pageants? Why indeed? What can you say about these pageants? What would you say? I mean, it's fair to warn a fledgling minister. They're like war, childbirth, and one microsecond of a holy visitation. Planning a pageant is pleasant enough. You sit at your desk and you write a script. You block out the action, you sketch the costumes, you select the players, you choose the music, you imagine a scene of calm and peace, moving in time and synchronicity like a flowing river. Then comes the first rehearsal. The river is suddenly a raging torrent. Chaos, confusion, misery. The children arrive late, hungry, tired, and distracted. The parents are cross, the choir director exasperated, the janitor furious. The wise men get into a fight with the shepherds. Cardboard boxes of myrrh clashing with foil-wrapped staves. Mary slips on the chancel steps and hurts her ankle. Joseph forgets to turn on the tape recorder in the cradle, and may God help you if in a fit of sentimentality you choose live animals to be in the creche. If the first rehearsal is chaos, the second is mayhem. Mary on crutches, shepherds on the wise men, the choir director on hold, and the janitor on something stronger than herb tea. You survive, but realize that what you've been through is closer to the Battle of Borodino than the mythical calm at the Manger. Or is that right? Perhaps the stable was Bedlam. Bedlam is the cocky nickname for a mental hospital in London whose official name was Bethlehem. In the days of Caesar Augustus, there was chaos in Israel. A new census, people on the move, the inns full, the townsfolk tense, an occupation army in the streets and guerrillas in the hills. Rehearsals remind us of reality. Remind us that God comes not on a technicolor screen, but in the midst of madness. It's amazing how well the pageant went on Christmas Eve. True, the shepherds were ogling their friends on the front pews, and Mary looked more pained than peaceful. The junior choir blew the third verse of "O Come Little Children." An usher dropped a collection plate filled with change. But there was a moment when the lights were turned down and the cast was still and the congregation sang Silent Night. And for a moment, the people felt the peace that God may intend for us. Strange how this works. Each year, we look at the kids in the chancel, and we do not see the boy next door dressed in an ill-fitting bathrobe, nor our niece wriggling nervously in the gilded cardboard wings. But we see these children and ourselves transformed for a moment by the story. We are the Holy Family, our offspring, our neighbors, our fellow townsfolk. We are the story, and for a moment, we know more and better of ourselves than we may in the rest of the year. Not bad.
Why Not a Star by Margaret Gooding. They told me that when Jesus was born, a star appeared in the heavens above the place where the young child lay. When I was very young, I had no trouble believing wondrous things. I believed in the star. It was a wonderful miracle, part of a long ago story foretelling an uncommon life. They told me a supernova appeared in the heavens in its dying burst of fire. When I was older and believed in science and reason, I believed the story of the star explained. But I was unwilling to give up the star, fitting symbol for the birth of one whose uncommon life has long been remembered. The star explained became the star understood, for Jesus, for Buddha, and for Zarathustra. Why not a star? Some bright star shines somewhere in the heavens each time a child is born. Who knows what it may foretell? Who knows what uncommon life may yet again unfold if we but give it a chance.
The Queens Came Late by Norma Farber. The Queens came late, But the queens were there, with gifts in their hands and crowns in their hair. They'd come, these three, like the kings, from far, following, yes, that guiding star. They'd left their ladles, linens, looms, their children playing in nursery rooms, and told their sitters, "Take charge, for this is a marvelous sight we must not miss." The queens came late, but not too late, to see the animals small and great, feathered and furred, domestic and wild, gathered to gaze at a mother and child. And rather than frankincense and myrrh and gold for the babe, they brought for her who held him a homespun gown of blue and chicken soup with noodles too, and a lingering, lasting cradle song. The queens came late and stayed not long, for their thoughts already were straining far past manger and mother and guiding star and child aglow as a morning sun, toward home and children and chores undone.
Hello, countryside. Merry Christmas. Reverend Denise here, and I want to read you a story called Santa's Husband. I think it's a super cute story, and the author, Daniel Kibblesmith, lives right in Oak Park, so he's local to us. And the illustrator is A.P. Quach. This is Santa Claus. This is Santa Claus's husband, Mr. Claus. They are married. Santa and his husband live together at the top of the world, the North Pole. They love keeping each other cozy in the cold, but each year it seems to get a little bit warmer. Santa's husband helps with all the hard work that makes Christmas happen. From making a list and checking it twice, to feeding Santa's 8 tiny reindeer, plus Rudolph, who has very special dietary restrictions, to keep his nose bright, of course. To helping Santa negotiate labor disputes with the elves in his workshop. They have a spectacular dental plan now. Santa is so busy during Christmas time that sometimes his husband, Mr. Claus, helps him out by sitting in for him at the mall and asking all the good children what they'd like for Christmas this year. Some folks get confused and say that, is this Santa Claus himself? But those people are mistaken. It's Santa's husband. Santa and his husband have been married in their hearts for a long time, but it wasn't yet official. So when the big day finally came and they tied the knot, everyone was there. From Rudolph to Frosty to Parson Brown. Even a few of the celebrities showed up. Like any married couple, they have their disagreements, but they always manage to kiss and make up, usually over a plate of cookies, of course. Some angry people on TV will tell you that this isn't what Santa Claus looks like, or that Santa Claus doesn't even have a husband. But people have imagined Santa Claus in all different ways over the years. Who is anyone to say what the real Santa looks like? Maybe Santa Clauses can come in all shapes, colors, and sizes, just like the families that Santa Claus visits all over the world. But as long as children believe in the magic of Christmas, there will always be Santa Claus. And as long as there is Santa Claus, he will have a man waiting at home who loves him. And also, Santa's husband, his name is David. Have a great holiday, everyone.
Christmas Meditation by Reverend Christine C. Robinson. Let us join our hearts and minds together in the spirit of meditation and prayer. May these moments of quiet lead us to the heart of the season, which is peace.
May we breathe deeply of peace in this quiet place. Relax into this warmth. Know we are safe here, and let us open our hearts to the evening story. Like the wandering couple, may we find that our greatest trials issue forth from our greatest joys.
Like the harried innkeeper, may we find ways to be of help to others. Like the lumbering beasts, may we be silent witnesses to the unfathomable glory of life.
Like the shepherds on the hill, may we know that we need never be afraid. Like the journeying wise, may we always have the courage to follow our stars.
Like the angels, may we cry peace to a troubled world. Holy One, to these prayers for our own transformation, we add our prayers for all of those who suffer and grieve this evening. May they find comfort.
And we add our prayers for all those involved in war. May they be safe. And may we this season of peace and goodwill nudge our world towards its ideals. For then will Christmas truly dawn. Amen.